Hello. We are about to go live. The last thing that I need to do is get us up on our Meta platform. Just give me just one moment here and we will get started. I know, it's creepy when there's no audio. Ooh. All right. Now, let's see what this does. Let's go. Hello, everybody. Greetings. My name is Thrash, but you can call me Audrey because we're friends. And today, I am Mick Foley. I am mankind. And I am live here at Freaktoyz Collectibles in the basement for the first of what we will have many of. Now, unfortunately, it looks as though we are dropping an extraordinary amount of frames. If you're on a meta platform and you're able to see this, it's going to be terrible. So we're going to drop meta just for now, just for this week until we get it figured out. What I want you to do is I want you to jump over to YouTube, or I want you to jump over to Twitch where we'll be. Come and watch and join in the festivities. Please, because if you don't, we're going to have some problems. But please tune in over there. All right, now, we shouldn't have to worry about nearly as many drop frames. We drop some frames whenever it comes to these, but we don't drop all of them. So let's go ahead and pop in here. And, well, we want to tell you exactly what we're working on, okay? So, thank you very much for paying attention to us today. My name is Thrash, but you already know that. You can call me Audrey. Who we are is we're Freaktoyz Collectibles. And what are we doing here? We're here to directly engage with our customers. We're here to do something weekly, something fun, something different, okay? We're here specifically, well, for you. Is my mic capturing? My mic is capturing. I do apologize. The first stream was. We're here to do this for you. This is a way for us to engage and find out what you might be interested in. This is also a way for us to just talk about cool things from the store, you know, do some pop culture discussion, and for you to get to know us a little bit better and us to get to know you. Now, this week, unfortunately, it's going to be kind of hard for us to keep up with the chat, and I might not do so. But that'll be fine. We're going to have some more personal streams in the future. This is an extravaganza. This is Halloween, okay? Now, I don't know if you can tell by my face, right? But we're really, really, really excited. Halloween is our favorite holiday. So we get to be here at work chatting with you. Now, normally you'd be like, oh no, you're at work on Halloween. We close at 3:30 p.m. Central Time today. That's before trick-or-treat even starts. We want you to be able to come in and see us in all of our glory and get the things that you'd like. But we also want you to be able to take your kid out trick-or-treating. So come on and see us. And speaking of us, let's get into some news. First things first, we have partnered with Sheboygan County Food Bank. We're going to start a food drive. We need to. Everyone needs food. We're in a dire situation right now, and we're doing everything that we can to help. We're going to have this bin sitting right next to our door. All right, and you're always welcome to bring in non-perishable and canned food items. I know right now they're looking for cereal and pasta and canned fruit. That's probably going to change in the future, and it doesn't have to be just those things. You can bring in whatever you have as long as it's canned or non-perishable. Go ahead and toss it in our bin. And if you want to do so on, let's say, a Wednesday, very specifically on Wednesday, if you bring in 3, it's 3, that's 6, but 3 non-perishable food items or canned food items and donate to the Sheboygan area Sheboygan County Food Bank, then we'll get you 10% off in store. So that's a way for you to help people and also help yourself with Christmas shopping. Next week, we have some more Fallout toys coming in, specifically the McFarlane figures, from what I know. We recently got that wonderful Elite NCR Ranger. I like it. It's really cool. And we just have more stuff on the way. I love the fact that the Fallout license is starting to get a lot of love. We're in a situation now where we're getting New Vegas things. And I'm going to be honest with you, that wasn't a given, say, 10 years ago. Well, not 10 years, say 5 years ago. Todd Howard famously doesn't seem to be a New Vegas fan because Bethesda didn't quite make it. Obsidian did. And now that it's getting its renaissance, I'm sure he's grumpy about it, but hey, he's making that money. And that's what matters. So we have those Fallout figures coming in and that Fallout show. Oh, can't wait for that next season. I hope you guys are ready for it. We here at Freaktoyz, we love our Fallout stuff. We love our Fallout stuff. We love our, I guess PC gaming stuff in general. We also, while talking about stuff, we have some Delicious in Dungeon, some Bob's Burgers, and some more Baldur's Gate Funko Pops coming in. Baldur's Gate 3. I bring that up specifically because we love that here. Baldur's Gate 3 was huge, to say the least, to everybody that works here at Freaktoyz Collectibles. So we are able to put out some more of those pops. And we also do, I know some of you don't like the pops, and that's fine. We have those U2 figures and stuffies. I love that U2 stuff. And specifically, whenever it comes to things like that, if there are things that you guys are looking for, I hope that we stock, you can let us know. Draw our attention to some things that are out. Maybe we don't see everything. Maybe we don't know what all of our customers are into. If a couple of people tell us that they want us to start stocking some things, we might listen in that situation. So always be vocal about the things that you're looking for, because you never know what you're going to find whenever it comes here. And we just want to be able to, give you the things that you need. All right. We have an array of great plushies coming in next month as well. And they're typically going to be those U2's boys. They're stuffed to the gills. I've never had a plushie quite like it. And I own 4 now, if I'm being honest. So they'll get you. Another thing that we have coming in, and this is going to be for a lot of you out there, we have a 48-inch foam Freddy Fazbear. It's going to be a lot like our Slimer or the ETs that have come in. And those should be in at some point over the next month. This is all November stuff. November is going to be pretty good for our distribution. So we should have some very interesting things. Just make sure to pay attention to our social media sites. And then from there, we'll give you all the information that you need. And remember, if I post it on social media, 99% of the time, it's also going to be available on our website. So it's a good way for you to get in and get those toys that you want. Speaking of toys, we are a toy store after all. I have some toy news for you guys. Now, it is the spooky season, and because it is the spooky season, I want to start off with something very specific for you. Just give me 1 second here. NECA has went ahead and announced quarter scale Art the Clown figures, both bloody and non. So these are pretty cool here. They are 18 inches tall, so they are going to stand a lot taller than, say, your Hot Toys or anything along those lines. This isn't the first time that they've done this either. The Fear Itself line from Mezco is roughly around this size. There's a leather face of that. Also, Mezco does have quarter scale Jason Voorhees. So your standard one is going to be just your good old Art the Clown boy. You know, hacksaw, horn, knife, that weird cat of nine tails that he made with surgical instruments. I kind of enjoy this picture. Let's see if I can drag this up a little bit. I love the size comparison, and I would love to see somebody take like an 18-inch Art the Clown and possibly take like a 1/8 scale, like a 3 3/4 inch Art the Clown, and just put it in one of those hands like he's playing with an Art the Clown doll. I think that that would be super, super cool. So what we're looking at here, that's the standard variation. And then we have the bloody variant, which is actually completely different. This is a thing that NECA normally doesn't do, but it comes with like all different like accessories and different face sculpts. So it does definitely have the knife, but it comes with a scalpel. It comes with that weird chair leg that he nailed everything into and a bunch of extra faces. This boy is really cool. He's going to be a NECA store exclusive. There's no way that we can get these guys unless somebody brings it in like on a trade-in or something along those lines. But this guy right here, I have a feeling is going to be worth a decent amount in the future. Him being an exclusive, him being tied directly to Terrifier 2. Like, super, super awesome figure. Next up, we have the Mega Man X by Toys. I am so excited for this boy. We don't see very many Mega Man X figures in the United States nowadays. I know Jada just recently went ahead and released that whole Mega Man line based on classic Mega Man. I have several of those boys. I love them so very much. Great articulation, and he looks pretty fine on my shelf. I will say, doesn't exactly scale well if you're doing like a Marvel vs. Capcom thing, but hey, that's just how that cookie crumbles. Okay, that's just how it is at times. So, you won't, you know, be able to put them up next to them like the Jada Street Fighters and your Marvel Legends, per se, and it look right. Jada Street Fighters are always going to be a little bit shorter. And that's why I think that this is pretty cool. This guy here, he's 5.7 inches tall. I actually do think that this guy would scale pretty well with your Jada Street Fighter toys, even though the Jada Mega Man doesn't. And this boy here, the really awesome thing about him is his lighting effect. I find this guy super cool. So right here, we see his Buster Cannon is all lit up. And as you can see, the Proton Blast is also lit up. He has so many different points of articulation. That is a charge buster right there. Like, so he's got all of these cool things going on with him. You get like a stand for your blast as well. And my favorite part about it is, let's see, I got to slide out of the way here. Do you see this little key fob right here? This little white thing? That is an electromagnet of some sort. What that does is it turns on the lighting effects. You have to bring it close enough to the figure. It acts like a remote control. There are 3 different versions, or 3 different things for the figure to do. It either pulses, flashes, or stays solid. The pulsing is to make it look like he's charging his X-Buster, which is just, they didn't have to do that. They absolutely didn't have to do that. This is Toys. Admittedly, I do not have a lot of experience with Toys. The most experience with Toys I have is admiring the Toys King Ghidorah from Godzilla King of the Monsters from the counter, because we had a customer order one and he opened it up and he showed it to us. Shout out to Aaron. And I have wanted some Haya stuff since. It's just nothing has hit my radar in a way that this has. So this boy, super cool. Hope to add one to my collection. Are you looking forward to this Mega Man X? Speaking of Marvel vs. Capcom, boom. Marvel Legends Spider-Man collections revealed at MCM London. The pre-orders went live. This was yesterday. These boys are super, super duper cool. So first off here, we have Diamond Form Emma Frost in all her glory. Let's scoot. So as you can see here, completely translucent, super cool. We've got the mutant pathogen research. We've got the Danger Room program manual, some extra hands, extra angry head with the hair down. We also have Hypno Hustler, And just, I, all right, so I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know all of these because some of these are B list. So this boy here is going to be named Cardiac. I don't know much about Cardiac. I'm going to be honest with you. However, I'm always down for a big, chunky, translucent plastic blue energy dome. Hello, dome. Then we have the Owl, who is a character that I do know. He's fine. I am, however, a sucker for little animals, and this boy comes with an owl. All right, now we have, what do they call him? Uncanny Spider-Man. This is when Nightcrawler got the Spidey suit. So he comes with a nice little bamf at the bottom. You know, his standard like 3 toes and everything along those lines. I actually do think I'm going to pick this guy up. I don't typically get many Marvel Legends nowadays, but he's just super sick. All right, and then you know Spider-Venom and Spider-Man 2099. I do believe that this is a new Spider-Man 2099 because it does not look like he is pegged. He looks pegless, which is super cool. You know, right there in that elbow joint. The last one did have a big stonking peg right there, so that's always great. And the last thing that I'm really talking about today, whenever it comes to our toy news, is something that we don't really carry. I'm going to be honest with you. It's something I just find really cool. Storm Arena has come out recently. Now, if you don't know much about Storm Collectibles is really, really well known for doing things based on fighting games. And their scale, it's its own scale. I don't exactly know what it is, but they end up being like 8 to 9 inches tall. So they're not as tall as a Hot Toys, and they're not as short as, say, your Marvel Legends. But they have recently come out with the Storm Arena line. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it really feels like this is a call out to Jada to make toys around the exact same price point that they do. So you're looking at Kyo from King of Fighters here. Now, this boy sits at the same standard price point that your normal Jada toys do, but it comes from Storm Collectibles. So you're looking at like 30 bucks for this guy. He comes with a lot. He's a lot shorter. His articulation looks to be very similar to that. Like, you got that leg vertical. Yeah, this is crazy that you're able to do that. So this guy here, yeah, he's on my radar. He's super cool. Those pre-orders went up. I'm super interested in Storm Collectibles, and specifically the Storm Arena. Is this something that you guys are into? We don't know. That's why we ask. These guys are just super cool. So Kyo is hitting the Storm Arena. We do know that there's going to be a lot more Storm Arenas coming out soon. So if you are a fan of fighting game figures, Storms, they've kind of got you covered here. All right. So that was our standard toy news. I did blow through that a little bit quicker than I thought I was going to, but that's fine for stream. What I do want to do in this situation, I want to ask you something. You know what? Actually, I'm going to be right back. I apologize for that. We are back and bye bye. That's right. Midstream costume change in one of the rare times you'll see Thrash without a mask on. Yeah, better take a picture. His mullet ain't staying for very much longer. All right. So, thank you very much for bearing with us there. We do have a little bit more news, and it is showing that these are likely going to be. We're all right with that, right? Right? I hope so. All right, so let's jump back into it. Drew McIntyre in wrestling news has opened up about the terrible gimmick that was pitched to him for his first run. I'm just going to go ahead and read this article. I find this to be kind of crazy. I'm glad that this didn't happen, but at the same time, this is something that could get over, and we'll talk about that in a second. Drew McIntyre's first WWE run could have looked incredibly different. And this is from SEScoops.com, not affiliated, don't know if they're cool. It's just whenever I was trying to pull up a full article for the news story, this is the one that brought it. So, from SEScoops.com. Former world champion recently appeared on the No Context Wrestling podcast. He talked about things such as upcoming Saturday night's main event match with Cody Rhodes and having a world title run during the pandemic. During the talk, McIntyre also asked about his Chosen One gimmick and if the company had any other plans before that. Drew revealed that there was multiple ideas floated around. One of them was for the Scottish star to debut as the Runway Man, pitched by John Laurinaitis. And to quote Mr. McIntyre here, I was listening to him describe the character and thought, oh no, oh no, oh no. Then he went, the name, the Runway Man. You're going to have your own model runway, and you're going to walk down it like a model. And you're like, oh my goodness. I was picturing in my head, basically all my dreams were going to hell. My life's work of a Scotsman, it was all going down the toilet. Sure, don't get me wrong. Does seem like a bad gimmick. But not exactly the end-all, be-all whenever it comes to something along those lines. Let's keep in mind that the Maximum Male models existed, and though they did not strike it big in WWE, they are huge indie stars, and that gimmick just works for them. Okay? So, that, it's all fine and good. I'm so glad that Drew didn't get stuck with this gimmick. I do think that this would have been something that would have made it not fun for him. You know? But, you know, glad he got the Chosen One, glad he got to be himself. Next up in wrestling news. Y'all fans of Bobby Fish? Y'all like Bobby Fish? Bobby Fish explains why he kicked out of CM Punk's GTS and calls out his passive-aggressive behavior backstage. Guys, some of us here, actually really big Phil fans. I can't say that I'm one of them. I have been in the past. I think his behavior is just not fun. You can love CM Punk if you want. He's a great worker. He's proven that he's not fragile. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he got hurt all the time in AEW. He came back to WWE and he hasn't had much problems. So I have no problem with Punk whenever it comes to his work rate and the matches that he puts out and things along those lines. What I don't like is the perceived attitude that Punk has backstage, as mentioned by several other people. And this is another one of those unfortunate stories. Hopefully, this is a situation that everyone can learn from. This is from ringsidenews.com. I do know if they're cool or not. They're fine, not affiliated. Bobby Fish finally addressed one of the most controversial moments from CM Punk's early run in AEW, his unexpected kickout from Punk's GTS finishing move in October of 2021. Now, this is AEW CM Punk. I will say it definitely felt like he did not want to be there. So you got to take this with a grain of salt. He's probably just a grumpy guy at this point in time. He's somewhere where he doesn't want to be, working with people that, yeah. So in a new video posted to Bobby Fish's YouTube channel, I do recommend checking out the video. It's a pretty good one. Fish gave a full breakdown of the moment and the drama that followed backstage. Fish opened up by clarifying that he had no intention of going into business for himself, despite the speculation that surrounded the finish, which We all know that statement that Punk very specifically made was targeted towards Bobby. Instead, he explained that something unusual happened during the pinfall that caused him to instinctively kick out. This goes a bit into actually how the business works. So if you don't want to know that stuff, you might want to go ahead and mute for a second. I don't know, like whatever you want to do. Are you ready? In the moment of the pin, he squeezed my arm or my leg. I don't know, to be honest. It was so long ago that I don't remember exactly which limb it was. But it was what we call in the industry the office or the icky. It's generally something that you do to get someone's attention. There wasn't a lot of time to think about this. It was do or don't, and I did, and that's what I did was kick out. Fish said he figured it wasn't intentional. Punk would have just picked him up and hit the move again, but then things got awkward fast once the match was over. He said the real issue wasn't the in-ring moment. It was Punk's response behind the curtain. Fish claimed that Punk avoided the direct conversation about the finish and instead went straight to Tony Khan. When I got to the back, my expectations was that I would encounter my opponent and we'd discuss it. I'd apologize, or at least I'd own what happened. That opportunity was not given to me. What was given to me was Mr. Brooks in the ear of Mr. Khan. It was obvious that they were talking about me because they were looking at me and talking. Fish confronted him, but Punk and Khan immediately walked away. Fish later found Punk in his private locker room backstage and gave him a second chance to talk. He continued to say over and over, "No, it's fine." Meanwhile, the way he was saying it made it obvious that things were not fine. To me, it was super passive aggressive, and I'm not that way, man. It's not the way of masculine people. It's not the way that masculine people handle business. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but okay, Bobby, whatever the hell that means. The former Undisputed Era member also didn't hold back when reflecting on Punk's MMA career, taking shots at how he represented pro wrestling during his UFC run. And this is just a pot shot, but when he fought in the UFC, I think he represented our sports pretty poorly. I don't think the man's a very accomplished martial artist, and that's just is what it is. I believe it was Bobby Fish that once said, "Where's the lie?" That's it. That's that segment. You guys like Chris Benoit? You guys like Chris Jericho? Well, Chris Jericho apparently last year filed trademark for the name the Jericho Vortex. It quietly got just abandoned. Like officially. I'm sorry. I'm going to be real when I say this. The Jericho Vortex is one of the worst things I've ever heard. I do not think that it would have been a very good thing for him to use. And I'm going to just state my case here. Jericho, in the eyes of a lot of fans, he's a man who's been through the wrestling world. All right, you know, let's get close-up face cam for this. Let's make you see my stupid goatee I cut for you. Look at this bad goatee. Look at my cactus jack. Bang bang. All right. Jericho, to a lot of wrestling fans, is someone who has ran the gamut. Some of us were Jericho-holics whenever we grew up. Okay, I loved Jericho in WCW. I loved Jericho in WWE. I kind of like Jericho in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and by the time he got to AEW, he was a bit long in the tooth. It was nice to see him get a bunch of matches and things along those lines, but unfortunately, he very much was the one who was always put over. The learning tree was a very bad gimmick, and if he went into the Jericho Vortex after this, just the words, the Jericho Vortex, people are going to say something along the lines of, yes, the Jericho Vortex is where your career goes to die. That's it. That's all I want to say. Think about the way that you word your stuff before you put a trademark on it. And wisely, if you do a bad job, retract. That's what he did, and I appreciate that. If he ends up back in the WWE, that's fine. But it was classified under failure to file a timely SOU or extension request. So that seems, in my mind, that Jericho realized what was going on with that and that it wouldn't work. So in wrestling news, we got that for Jericho. You good? You good? I like Jericho. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just very, very bad name. Let's go back to that white shot. All right. Next in wrestling news. It's just hard for me to even like fathom. This is from SI.com. So this is the takedown. Vince Russo set for return to pro wrestling. This is going to give you a whole rundown on everything, and we're going to talk. You and I. Let's go Maine. You want to go Maine? We might have somebody pop in here in a moment. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry I went from down there to up here. It happens. Vince Russo is going to be a key investor in the Juggalo Championship Wrestling. It seems like this is on the precipice of their YouTube growth stagnating. They reached a specific amount of viewers, and it's just the viewership isn't growing from there because it's a wrestling show on a YouTube channel. So they're pulling in Vince Russo to try to get ratings. And I understand why you would do that. But Vince Russo has been destructive to multiple of the wrestling companies that he's been in the prior. I want to say that I hoped he learned his lesson, but I see what Vince Russo says about people on the internet almost daily. I work social media for a toy store that deals a lot with wrestling. So because of that, I see a lot of wrestling news. I didn't pull a lot of it for today because I don't want it to be too heavy. Vince Russo obviously hasn't learned a lot of his lessons from his booking days, but does say, hear me out here, that if you liked Attitude Era wrestling, you should tune into JCW for more controversial storylines. Take that as you will. If you want to see what Vince Russo is up to, he'll be booking JCW on YouTube pretty soon. It'll be free for you to watch it. You still don't have to pay. Who knows? Maybe he'll lift up the company. This is on the back of that horrible burn situation that happened. And if you didn't see that video, you probably shouldn't see that video. I don't foresee it happening. He's going to be the head booker, is what it's looking like, and he's investing in it. And I don't know. I don't know how you feel about Vince Russo, but just remember that, TNA almost lost their TV deal for hiring Vince Russo. Just let that sink in. That a whole network was going to drop a TV deal of at that point in time, profitable wrestling company because of Vince Russo. They're clowns for a reason. They're clowns for a reason. Right, it is 12:32, and with that, I want to touch on our last bit of news for today. And this is just going to be some pop culture stuff for you. And it came as quite a surprise for me, but Dolph Lundgren was talking to Extra. You know, that show Extra that's on terrestrial television. Did an interview, and they were talking to him. And he's appeared, they talk about how he's been in over 75 films and etc. They do a 3-minute interview with him, but at the end, they bring up Masters of the Universe. And they're like, oh, are we going to see a cameo from you in Masters of the Universe, etc., etc., etc. Literally, he tells you that he probably does, that you should stick around and watch till the end. So, you want to see Dolph Lundgren in a Masters of the Universe movie? It looks like you might be able to do that. It's probably just going to be, but it's still really cool. I'm actually quite a fan of the Masters of the Universe movie. One of the rare ones, I think. So in that situation, I'm a Dolph Lundgren fan, I think. I can't even say I'm a fan of the movie. It's Dolph Lundgren himself. So hope to see it. Hope to see it. Well, I was hoping that we would have some people come down today in costume. And it doesn't seem that we had that. I'm going to pad out my run time. I'm going to do some interviews. Even switching into my second costume for you. It is what it is. Because we're friends. And I'm out here hanging out with my friends. Regardless of how many people are watching this or not watching this. I want to thank you for even tuning in. This is something new. And this is something awesome that we're going to be trying to do on a weekly basis. I promise you that any hiccups that we have will be sorted out in the near future. And we want to keep you up to date on things with the store and, keep you in the know and get your opinion on things. So in the future, tune in either at noon-ish Central Time on Fridays on Twitch and YouTube, possibly Meta if we can get that working. Or you can always pop on, catch the VOD. I'm going to try to also upload the VODs to our Meta if it allows us to do so you can still watch it there. I want this delivered to everyone that it can be delivered. So with that, I want to say bang bang. I want to say thank you. And I also want to say have a nice day. Bye.